What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the CotAcasT. My name is Brian Bermudez, and I'm the host of the Craft of the Air podcast not just for aviation enthusiasts or professionals, but also those with a general interest in aviation. Join us on our journey as we explore the horizon of aviation together. I'm so glad that you guys are tuned in for another CotAcasT. Today the one-stop shop, man. One-stop shop for anything aviation fuel. Today we get into the hot topic of sustainable aviation fuel. Sustainable aviation fuel, or SAFs, is making the news, and it's a big question. Sustainable aviation fuel, a promising solution for reducing emissions in aviation? You like how I threw the Scooby in there? First things first, guys. Today's episode of the CotAcasT is brought to you by Craft of the Air. Stop memorizing outdated content and rereading textbooks without really understanding your aviation content. If you're seriously looking to obtain your A&P license, your FAA A&P license, Craft of the Air offers personalized learning sessions remotely from the convenience of your house. You tired of searching endlessly for unreliable data? You're opening up that tab, you're checking Reddit, you're opening up this, you're asking that person, you're going to text that person, You're in the field for aviation and you need help accomplishing your next big project? Consulting by Craft of the Air is the second you when you need it. Anything aviation, visit www.craftoftheair.com. Again, that's www.craftoftheair.com today and speak with a federally licensed professional. Craft of the Air, our craft is of the air. All right, so we dive right into it. Don't be Oscar the Grouch. You know, if you guys didn't get the chance, it was really good. It was really, really good. If you guys didn't get the chance to watch the new promotional videos that United Airlines is putting out, they're promoting Oscar the Grouch as their chief trash officer. the CTO. Oscar the Grouch, the CTO. Is it the chief trash officer? Anyway, but it's for good reason. It was really well put together. Anyway, that ad. But yeah, so sustainable aviation fuel definitely making headlines with just this week, just 2 days ago, the Airbus 321neo conducted mission data test flights using wholly sustainable fuels. That was on a 321neo. And a couple of weeks ago, Boeing actually made a huge investment trying to ensure that they have sustainable fuel on hand. Boeing agreed to purchase 5.6 million gallons. That's 21.2 million liters of blended sustainable aviation fuel. And it's taking the news. And I really do appreciate one of the listeners, Joel. He actually wrote into the show, and he inspired us on this topic. But yeah, you know, one thing mentioned, Universal Hydrogen Company, and they had successfully a 40-passenger hydrogen electric plane, and it completed its maiden flight. With everything that we're seeing in the news, we look at it. What is sustainable aviation fuels, SAF? We keep seeing this and looking at different news articles, and it's something that's definitely going to take definitely a big part of aviation in the future, in the very near future. And you know, fuel, when it comes to mind, one of the first things we think about is, man, fuel, gas up the car is expensive today. But it is more than that in aviation. and it's really to do with emissions. Sustainable aviation fuel is something that a multitude of companies and government agencies are making a top priority. And so now we'll get into what sustainable aviation fuel is, the basics, and just plain English. What is it? How's it made? How do we get it? Is there hope in the future? Is it something that's actually viable? Are we actually going to start swapping out Jet A and Av gas? It's not possible. Now, bigger picture. Aviation fuel use right now. Now, this is according to the International Energy Agency. The aviation industry consumed approximately 290 million tons of jet fuel in 2019. And that represented about 8% of the global oil demand. A majority of this fuel was used for commercial aviation. Now, the demand for aviation fuel, it's expected to continue to grow. With the International Energy Agency, they're projecting a 50% increase. And that's only in fuel consumption. And that's only by 2040. And there's a multitude of factors that are going to be, contributing to that: population growth, increased demand for air travel, economic development, so on and so forth. Now, what's the cost of that? What's the cost, I ask? Aviation fuel cost. It's significant. For the airlines, it represents approximately 25% of their operating expenses. Now, the cost of jet fuel is highly volatile. The prices are influenced by a multitude of factors: oil prices, geopolitical events, supply and demand dynamics. Now, according to the International Air Transportation Association, the average cost of jet fuel in 2020 was $57.60 per barrel, a significant decrease from 2019 average of $77.03. $77.03 a barrel in 2019. Now, the decrease is primarily driven by the COVID-19 pandemic, which led to a decline in, of course, air travel and a reduction in the jet fuel prices. Now, what are the environmental impacts that we look at? It's jet fuel. It's a significant contributor to greenhouse gases and to the emissions. Now, with aviation industry responsible for approximately overall 2% of the global carbon dioxide emissions, in addition to carbon dioxide, jet fuel also emits other pollutants. Such as nitrogen oxides, dioxides, a whole bunch of things that have negative impacts on air quality and in human health. The environmental impact of aviation fuel, it's a growing concern. And the aviation industry has been exploring for ways to reduce the emissions for many years. Now, we then dive into SAFs. One of the most promising solutions is the use of sustainable aviation fuels. And with that, sustainable aviation fuels, it can possibly reduce emissions by, get this, 80% compared to conventional jet fuel. Now, we go into it. How does it work? Let's speak a little bit about sustainable aviation fuel and how it works. Sustainable aviation fuel is essentially a type of biofuel and is made up of renewable sources like plant matter or waste materials, and is designed to is a drop-in replacement for traditional jet fuel, meaning it could be used in existing aircraft without modifications. You know, one of the biggest things you look at is the comparison between sustainable aviation fuel and traditional jet fuel. Now, while sustainable aviation fuel, it emits significantly less carbon dioxide and other pollutants than traditional jet fuel. Now, depending on the source or the feedstock, sustainable aviation fuel can reduce carbon emissions by up to 80%. 80%, that's key right there. 80% compared to traditional jet fuel. Now, it is worth noting that in addition, sustainable aviation fuel, it has a much lower sulfur content than traditional jet fuels. And that helps to reduce emissions of sulfur dioxide and a lot of other harmful pollutants. It's now, it goes without saying, it's a no-brainer. It's okay, let's do it. Go ahead, do it. Let's do it. Let's put it in the planes right now. But there's issues. Do we have issues? We might. Now, challenges. There's some challenges that are being addressed. Some that are more broad than others. One of the main challenges is straight up the cost of the production. Now, sustainable aviation fuel currently, it's much more expensive to produce than traditional jet fuel, and that's making it a lot less appealing to the airlines and to other users. However, the technology itself, it continues to improve. And the demand for sustainable aviation fuel, it continues to increase. It does. We can expect the cost to come down at some point. Another challenge is availability of the feedstocks. The production of sustainable aviation fuel, it requires a large amount of plant matter or waste materials, which it can be difficult to obtain. It is specifically to obtain in large quantities. Now, benefits, I mean, what are the benefits? I mean, there's just so many to just the use and the benefits of using sustainable aviation fuel going forward. Now, one of the main benefits, of course, the reduction of emissions. It's the main objective of all of these investments that all of these companies are making. United Airlines, and we may cover that more. That United Airlines invested $5 million into an algae-based fuel producer. Yes, $5 million. Ireland making very key advances, and they could play a very key global role in green fuel markets for many different reasons. But now, the benefits, all right, reduce emissions. Now, sustainable aviation fuel, it emits significantly less carbon dioxide and other pollutants than traditional jet fuel. It's that plain and simple. And that's crucial in reducing aviation industry's carbon footprint. It's crucial. Now, additionally, sustainable aviation fuel, it can be produced from. There's just so many different such a variety of renewable sources, and that helps to reduce our overall as a planet. I'm no tree hugger, but I'm all for reducing our reliance on fossil fuels. Now, it's the future for sustainable aviation. It looks very promising. It looks very promising. We're seeing more and more investments into the field by the day, literally. And we can expect to see sustainable aviation fuel becoming much more widely used in the very coming years. Not something that we'll necessarily have to wait for a while. Several airlines have already started using sustainable aviation fuel for their flights. Just 2 days ago, Airbus and the 321neo. I mean, that's big news. We're conducting that emission data test flights wholly on sustainable fuel. Now, it's clear that sustainable aviation fuel is a promising solution for reducing emissions in aviation. It's something that has to be done. You're looking at something that the United States Department of Energy said. The production and use of sustainable aviation fuels is key in reducing aviation emissions, creating jobs, and fostering economic growth, end quote. That was by the United States Department of Energy. The European Commission had mentioned, and I'll quote them on this: sustainable aviation fuels represent a significant opportunity for aviation sector to reduce its environmental impact and contribute to a more sustainable future. That was the European Commission. Clean Energy Canada, who quoted as saying sustainable aviation fuel can reduce greenhouse gas emissions by up to 80% compared to traditional jet fuel, and they have the potential to play a significant role in decarbonizing the aviation sector, end quote. That was by Clean Energy Canada. So there's just so much going on in sustainable aviation. In the recent years, it's been a increasing concern about the impact of aviation emissions. And it just has grown and grown and grown. And I ask you guys, is this something that you see coming in the very near future? Or is it like many other of these aviation trends, or these so many things that we see come up and then they kind of fizzle away? They kind of forget about that, or that's not something that they're going to invest in, or that didn't work out, but we'll revisit it at a different time. Is this something that the airlines, that companies, that government agencies will stick to, and to the overall in reducing our carbon footprint? Or is this Oscar the Grouch from United, Chief Trash Officer Oscar the Grouch, just as publicity? Look at us, look what we're doing. We're doing good right now. Green thumb. I'd hope that this is for the future and everybody's on board with it. Every company, I would hope to see. And really hope, with my passion being aviation, the aviation industry itself, we are responsible for a significant portion of the global greenhouse gas emissions. And the need for sustainable aviation fuel, it's becoming increasingly more important. So SAFs, They're a promising solution to reducing emissions, but there are still several barriers to widespread adoption. And with that being said, we have to wrap it up for this week's episode of the CotAcasT. I thank you guys so much for listening. That wraps it up for this week's episode. If you guys haven't had the opportunity just yet, take this opportunity to check out the Craft of the Air website at www.craftoftheair.com today and get your free initial consultation. Craft of the Air, our craft is of the air. Thanks so much again, guys. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Be sure to follow the Craft of the Air Instagram to get the latest CotAcasT updates, and follow us. You can leave us a review and check out the Spotify polls. If you're using Spotify, you can also check us out on SoundCloud or Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you guys have a great day and stay safe out there. See you soon.